What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Future Proof Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Tyree. Let's get it. Oh, man. Thank you guys so much for being here on this inaugural episode of the Future Proof Podcast. I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of each other. I appreciate you guys tapping in with me. Um, we have a great guest. We have a great guest here today to jump off the show. He goes by the name of Rod Brinson. He is all things brand strategy. He actually is called the brand strategist. And rightfully so. He's building brands across many veins, areas, disciplines, and he's doing it at a very high level. But before we get to him, I just want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the world. Right now, it is Sunday, January 12th, 9 p.m. And what's happening in Los Angeles is just brutal. The fires that are raging in Los Angeles. We here at Future Proof send our love and our energy and our well wishes, which honestly, I mean, it isn't enough, you know, but we send all these things to the folks out there in Los Angeles. And I feel especially charged by this, and I'm feeling this deeply because I lived in Los Angeles for 15 years. I know you can't tell because I look young and spry, but I did. I lived in Los Angeles for 15 years. I first moved to Los Angeles when I was a young man, and I lived all over LA. When I first moved there, I lived in North Hollywood. I've lived as far up as West Hills, Topanga area. I used to work at the Topanga Mall. I opened the Apple store at the Topanga Mall. That'll date me a little bit. I've lived as far south as Redondo Beach. Spent last 6 years in Torrance. Lived in Culver City. I've been all over LA. So most of my friends um, are in Los Angeles. I met my wife in Los Angeles. I had my first daughter. My first daughter was born in Los Angeles. So I am feeling the loss and the pain very deeply. It's been raging. The fires have been going on for about 6 days now, as of today, as of Sunday. And I've been feeling the pain, reaching out, trying to touch and tap in with everybody I can. Um, and it's just not enough. You want to save everybody. You want to give as much help as you can, and no matter what you do, you feel like it is not enough. Yeah. Future Proof as a company is going to be doing some stuff, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But if you have anybody out there in LA that you have been thinking about, please reach out, please tap in, give what you can, donate to really good organizations that you know are doing work on the ground. I'll be posting some links of organizations that I personally have looked into that I know are doing good work, especially for um, underprivileged and overlooked communities. You know, we all know about the fires in the Palisades and all the celebrities who have lost their homes, but there are equally devastating, and probably I would say more devastating and more damaging, just because of the lack of the ability to rebuild. There are other fires happening in Eaton and in Altadena and Pasadena. You know, when you talk about Altadena, you're talking about an area that's very diverse. I would even say predominantly non-white. It's an area that when redlining was prevalent, if you don't know what redlining is, please go look it up. When redlining was prevalent uh, in the 40s and 50s and 60s, 70s, Altadena was a place where they did not allow redlining. So black and brown people, but black people particularly, were able to go buy homes and build wealth. And that's why you see black people in Altadena with homes that are worth 5, 10, 15 million dollars, not because they had a ton of money, but because they bought them when they were $100,000 and they just sat on them and the value went up. And now these houses are gone, and they don't have the means like some other people might to rebuild. So while I know this is touching the world because of the names that are behind the fires, the loss, I'm sorry. um, Please understand that there are people who are not being named, who are not celebrities, who are not able to just go out and rebuild, who are suffering. And so please find out what you can do, if you can do anything. I know some people can't. Some people can just call. Some people can just reach out. Do that. We at Future Proof. If you go to wefutureproof.com, there's a community there. You can join this community for free for the next 30 days. And this community it's all things connectivity. We're connecting um, creatives, professionals, everybody who's really focused on building the future. But in a case like this, we're connecting people who need help. So if you're not being heard wherever you're posting or wherever you're talking to, go to wefutureproof.com, join the community. It should be free. If it's coming up not free for you, I will put the code in the link below if you're watching on YouTube. If not, listen up. It's better together. Excuse me, better together. BETTER together. But the end of together does not have any on it. No ER at the end of together. So I'll put that somewhere. So it's better together. That is the free coupon code to join that community. And I'll be posting, you know, links to helpful sites, people where people can go and get food and clothing and resources. Um, and just reach out. You can reach me at andrew@wefutureproof.com. You can comment below any of my posts. You can go to hosted by Andrew Tyree on any of my social media. I am trying to help in every way possible. So if the link's not working for you, just reach out to me. We will get you to the help. We will get you to the help. I'm going to read some of the names of the people who you might know who have lost homes, because it it's staggering. It's really staggering. Folks who are I mean, I don't want to say homeless because they're probably going to rebuild, but all these people that Barbara Corcoran, Miles Teller, Mel Gibson, Tina Knowles, Beyonce Knowles' mother, lost her home. Paris Hilton, Mandy Moore, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Billy Crystal, love Billy Crystal, Brad Paisley and his wife, Anna Faris, love Anna Faris, Jeff Bridges, Ricky Lake, Janae Aiko, just so many people. Jamie Lee Curtis, amazing actress. Jamie Lee Curtis lost her home. Rosie O'Donnell. So I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And I know they're hurting too. I don't want to dismiss them as if they're not hurting because they have means to rebuild. But I want to focus on the people whose names you don't know. So that's what this platform is going to do. Like I said, you can reach out to us. Here at the podcast, you can email me at Andrew at wefutureproof .com. You can go to wefutureproof.com and actually, join the community. That's really why we built it. We initially, obviously, it's to gather forward thinkers to try and explore what's next. Um, we do, we make connections. We post really insightful things about the industry. When I say industry, I mean the entertainment industry. But we have other people in there who are professionals who talk about, their professions. We're trying to make connections that matter, but we're also trying to help where we can. Um, I teach a course, a hosting course. Uh, the next course starts February 6th. But this course, we're donating 5% of all the proceeds to, an organization that's going to help, out the victims of this fire. So, and I might do that until, who knows, for the foreseeable future. So, when the community is not free anymore, which it won't be after the next 30 days, although, 5% of those proceeds will go towards helping, the courses will go towards helping, um, It's literally the very least we can do, especially seeing what the insurance companies are doing. This says California had to issue a 1-year moratorium on insurance cancellations in fire areas. That's because insurance companies, knowing that these fires were coming and seeing these fires coming and having the fires come, were doing everything in their power to cancel people's insurance. That's fucking disgusting. That's disgusting. You get paid so much money as an insurance company and you barely ever have to pay out because this is not like so everybody has insurance and how often are people using it? So you have a boatload of money. And instead of being like, yo, like we're finally being called upon to do the thing that we're here to do, you're doing everything in your power to cancel people's insurance, to not pay out when people have lost everything. The California Insurance Commissioner, Ricardo Lara, has banned insurance companies from canceling or not renewing policies for homeowners affected by the Palisades and Eden fires for 1 year. He backdated this to October 9th. It- wha- and, I hate to bring it up, but I got to bring it up. Suddenly, Luigi Mangione is resurfacing in the news. He had kind of quieted down for the last couple of weeks. Eh, Shooting somebody dead in the street is not the answer, right? But you can understand how somebody can be so upset with the disgusting way an insurance company tries to treat you when you are at your lowest. You're already at your lowest. You might have lost somebody. You definitely lost all your belongings. And you're like, the one thing I have to count on is the fact that I've been paying into this insurance. I've been paying into, this company that's going to make me whole again, at least materialistically. And they giving you the runaround? Brother, I wasn't supposed to spend this much time. I wasn't supposed to spend this much time on this, but it is disgusting. Disgusting. And I'm probably gonna have some more to say about it. So I might I might be putting up some posts or something like that. But uh yeah, just tap in with your people, tap in with us, and everybody just do what they can because it's really bad out there. All right. Before we get to our guest, I just want to thank you guys again for popping in. I want you guys to go check out futureproof dot com, wefutureproof.com. Check out the community, check out the courses. Our next live virtual academy starts on February 6th. I'm so excited to start teaching again, folks, how to make the most of their skills, how to improve their chances of hosting on traditional television, podcasts, the internet. If you want, like being on stages, TED Talks, I've done all these things across many channels and many mediums, and I'm finally back to giving the knowledge out, man. So we're running a special on the courses; they're 50% off. Go to the website to find out more about that. But let's get to our guest. Here we go. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for being here today. This is a really special moment for me because I'm about to introduce you guys to the first guest ever on the Future Proof podcast. So this is a monumental moment in so many different ways. I'm really excited about this guy. I want you guys to meet Rod Brinson. I want to read this to you. He's what I consider the brand whisperer. Okay, he turns entrepreneur stories into empires, and through his company Brinson Design, he spent over 2 decades proving that the most powerful thing in business isn't just your strategy, it's your story. He's all those things. He's also become a friend of mine. Y'all welcome Rod Brinson to the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me, man. I truly appreciate it.
What's
Look,
up, man?
the whisper is new. I like that.
Yeah, I put that in there myself. I put that in there myself because I feel like when I talk to you, that's the energy I get. Like
Mm.
because I consider myself a smart guy, and so it's not often that I speak to somebody and I'm like, oh, they giving me something that like I didn't have myself. and that's
Right.
so that's a rare thing for me. So
Mm.
I appreciate that about you. Before we dive into anything too deep, um, right now it's snowing in
Oh,
Atlanta.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
cold. We out here, and you were talking about having me maybe come over to your place. We could record this in your spot, and I was telling you I didn't want to give you any of this gook that I got. I don't know if y'all can hear it over the airways
Yeah,
but
and
I'm
we didn't
sick.
want nothing. Trust me, we didn't want it over here. So, yeah, that was a right move.
I didn't want to bring it to you, man. My kids came home the other day from school and they had it, bro. They
Mm.
had it, and my daughter was eating something, and she said, "Daddy, taste this, like, try it." And she like put the spoon to my face, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it, but my daughter's 3 years old, and so she had that look on her face that like, if you
Mhm.
don't eat this, I'm
Yeah,
also not gonna eat this. It's gonna be a whole
be a
thing.
problem, right.
So knowing that I was about to get sick, I ate it, man, and
You did. You
I
did.
ate it, and now I'm
Mm,
paying the price. I haven't
mm.
been able to breathe for 2 days, bro.
Man, look, that's part of being a father, we gotta take something for the team sometimes, and that's
I'm
all you
hopped
did.
up I'm hopped up on a mixture. My wife, she knew I had this very, very important interview to do
Mhm.
today, and so she came home and she made me a mixture of let me see if I get it right. There's onions, turmeric, black pepper, cayenne pepper,
Mm,
ginger,
mm.
there's some other stuff in there, honey, all of that. And it's not blended, or it's just she chopped it, she put it in there, she put a little honey on it with a little warm water,
So
hit it
is
like
this
this.
soup or is this a drink
It's
or
a shot. She put in a shot glass.
wow, okay.
Now, that was 30 minutes ago. This is the
Mm,
best I've sounded in 48 hours.
wow,
I'm not
okay.
saying it's a miracle cure, but there's something going on.
Okay, I
There's
love it.
something going on. Now you have kids yourself, but you're not in the toddler phase that I'm in.
No, thank God. Did I say that out loud? I
Yeah,
mean,
a little bit.
children are great. No,
Yeah,
my oldest is 17, youngest is 11, so we're past that phase,
you
and,
pass that
they
phase.
don't go to daycare and get green, snot anymore, so,
Man,
yeah, they don't
man.
bring home the things, thank God.
Man, well, tell me what's something I have to look forward to that I'm not experiencing right now? What's
Um,
something
you have to look forward to independence. You get to
Okay,
look forward to, teenage hormones. You get to look
okay.
forward to like, okay, I'll give you something new, and I won't put anybody's business out there, but like I grew up in a phase where the internet was new. We
Yeah,
had to like figure things out and have
yeah.
papers printed. It's different. So one thing I was not ready for as a parent is a kid trying to like Uber out in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping.
Mm,
You don't have a car, but you got a phone. And so
what?
now you can maneuver. Yeah. So it's different.
So we used to have to put the car in neutral, roll it down the hill, and then pop the clutch.
Yeah,
But
no.
but now you just call the Uber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
just
crazy.
get in the car and be gone. So it's different.
That's crazy. I'm listen, okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna say one story and then we're gonna get we gonna get
Mhm.
into it. I used to drive Uber. So I lived in LA 15 years. Shout out to all my folks in LA who are dealing with these fires right now. It's crazy out there. So sending you guys love and prayers. But I used to live in LA, had work sometimes, didn't have work sometimes.
Mm.
So when I didn't have work, I used to drive for Uber. And the most uncomfortable rides were the rides where I'd pick up young kids, 13, 15. And you're like, one, you probably supposed to be in school. Why am I picking you up then going picking up this girl?
Mm.
And I was just like, I was all outside of myself because it was uncomfortable, bro. It was
Oh
uncomfortable.
yeah, I
So
can't imagine that because now the adult kicks in. It's like, where y'all going? What are
where
you
are
up?
y'all going?
Yeah, no.
Where are y'all going? All right, so my man, you are. I met you on set shooting a film, and you were kind of playing the background, just trying to kind of figure out what was going on set. I ran into you again at NBC, and that's when I realized that you are a brand strategist. That was
Mhm.
my second time meeting you, and I was like, we got to chatting. And I was telling you a little bit about what I wanted to do, and you were like, "Yeah, I got some answers for that." I was like, "Do you?"
Mhm.
you
Right,
know,
right.
we got to rapping. How does one become a brand strategist? But I don't want you to jump right in. I want you to start with young Rod. When you were young, Did you imagine yourself doing this? Did you know what a brand strategist was when they were asking you, "Hey, what do you want to do when you grow up?"
Of course not. I will say this. I never had like this, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor at, that young age. I was just a creative. And I think life experiences bring you towards the thing that you really want to do. So that same thing I just said I didn't want to do necessarily became my thing. So I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to defend people who, didn't have anybody else to defend themselves. And I also had an artistic side. So I was always drawing, coming up with creative things, making my own shoe designs. And, you know, you don't really know the thing that you have in you until somebody else brings it out. So as I
Mm,
progressed through my career and college and all of this other stuff, which I definitely didn't go down the lawyer track, and that was particularly because I saw The Devil's Advocate, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, not doing that." I see
who starred in that movie?
Al Pacino and
Al
Keanu
Pacino.
Reeves.
Keanu Reeves
Yeah.
derailed you.
Yep, I was like, "Okay, well, that's not it. I'm not doing that." But, so needless to say, like, in corporate jobs, whenever we would have team building activities and stuff, people would just call upon me to be the creative force behind our team's effort. And that turned into people needing flyers for their parties. And, I was brought up to my attention, recently. A friend of mine told me, because I was just like, "Yeah, I've been doing this since this time." My company was officially started in 2014. He said, "No, you've been building websites since we first got to college." I was like, "What?" So 1998? He's like, "Yeah. You remember we built the
Mm,
sites and that?" I was like, "Wow, you're right." So it's a thing that's been in me for a long time. Even what you brought up, right? We met on a
mhm.
set. I
Yeah.
was in the process of becoming a director. I didn't realize I was going to be directing brands. So
Mm,
it's very similar, but
yeah.
everything that I've been through from a young kid to now has brought me to this place where I finally feel like I'm in my purpose.
That's so interesting, man, because you mentioned a friend of yours had to kinda, like, show you a bit of yourself that you weren't seeing. I have a friend like that. Shout out to Rodney Frazier. He's probably known me the longest time in my life. And every time I talk to him, it's the same thing. I'll be like, man, I had this new idea. And he'll tell me, man, that's not a new idea, bro. You was talking about that when you were a sophomore in
Wow.
high school. And you'd be like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
shout out to good friends,
yeah,
right?
for sure. And they're there to hear it and see those pieces that you don't really subconsciously remember. So it makes
Yeah, but
sense.
it takes a really good person to even be listening close enough to tell you. Because some
Yep.
people just might be uh-huh-ing you to death. They be uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. So
Right.
it takes a special person to be like, you know what? I'm hearing you, and there's something else going on here. So that's
For
really cool,
sure.
man.
For sure.
So you said you wanted to be a lawyer. You were in college. You realized that something else was going on. Was there a moment that kind of turned you that took your trajectory from being a lawyer to said, no, 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 we're gonna do something else?
Yeah, so obviously the devil's advocate thing stopped that as I was going to college. So I did what everybody else does. Okay, what am I good at? What makes the most money? How can I, what do I think I like, the most? So I went into engineering, which led me down a tech track. So some of my first jobs were in line with that. But again,
Mhm,
the creative side was always there. I always had a love for music, I always had a love for film, I always had a love for art, but I just thought of it as like a hobby type thing.
mm.
It didn't become prevalent in my world until probably 2013, where my wife was like stressed out about work and she really wanted to leave her job. Like she was that bad off. And I was like, "Hey, quit. It's okay. Like I would rather have you in this house with me, happy and broke, than stressed out trying to, make ends meet." So she quit the next day. He said,
Bruh. Whoa.
"Hey, look,
Whoa.
it happened. It happened." But no,
Whoa.
no,
Okay, so
real talk. It happened. But
my
look,
wife can't listen to this episode at all. Okay, got you. Got you, got you, got you, got
so I didn't know how I was gonna make it work, but I
you.
knew I had the ability to create. So I got online, started hustling, doing logos and helping people out. Man, this was, like I said, a decade ago. And it just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled. The short of it is I didn't have one key moment until more recently, which we'll get into a bit later. But I didn't necessarily want to be an entrepreneur. This just popped up on my radar, and it's it's something in me that has to come out. So here I am.
Can we dig in there a little bit? Because now the more I talk to you, the more I realize we have a lot in common. Because
Mm,
I find myself in a position now where I'm becoming an entrepreneur. I'm starting a business. I'm starting this thing. Never wanted it.
mm,
Have really good friends that are serial entrepreneurs. Went to school to become entrepreneurs.
mm,
Like, if that's not an oxymoron, right? Like they are they are entrepreneurs. I wanted to act. I wanted to host TV shows. I wanted to be an entertainer, creative. The thought of running a business was never appealing to me.
mhm,
How do you end up in a situation where like I'm an entrepreneur now and I never wanted to be? And is that a benefit? Is that a superpower to being an entrepreneur or
mm.
is that a hindrance? What do you think?
I think it could be either or. I don't
Mhm.
think there's one magical answer, right? You got people who go to try to be actors in Hollywood or New York or whatever, and they end up being waitresses forever. You also have people who go and then they pop and they get on Broadway or they get a big breakout film or sitcom. It's really a flip of the coin. For me, as it relates to entrepreneurship, and this goes out to anybody out there who's thinking about, man, what do I really want to do this thing, but I'm working my job and it's paying the bills. I always wanted to work a job. I could care less about the entrepreneur thing. The thing that separates and decides for anyone, I believe, is the thing that you're doing or want to do tied to helping other people? If it's only going to benefit you, then it's probably not your purpose. Like when it's something that is innate, when it's something that is in you that you can't get rid of, it's going to find a way to be in your life. And that's what happened with me. The entrepreneurship found its way in my life regardless, to the point where my part-time income doing entrepreneurship was starting to rival my full-time income, and I had a choice to make. And I still didn't make it because I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. So it was forced on me when I was laid off in February 2024. And thank God I was in a position where I could make that choice easily. It wasn't like, man, what am I going to do? It was, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
It does.
yeah, I think entrepreneurship, it just depends on the person and where you are. As long as you're helping somebody else, then I think that's what you should be doing.
Isn't that so interesting that if we're supposed to be doing a thing and we're not doing it,
Mhm.
the universe
Mhm.
will, will force you to do it.
Yeah.
It will
Yeah,
force you to do it.
and I wouldn't even say force you to do it. It's gonna force itself upon you, and you're gonna have a choice to make. And that's
Sure.
all it is too, because I could have chosen to go back into corporate. I could have
Sh-
continued to ignore the blaring light that was in my face, right? It's the siren that's ringing in your ear that you cannot avoid. I had been ignoring it for the last 2 years. And so it was just at a point where it was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop ignoring this and actually make this choice.
I love that. Um, Talk to me a little bit about what exactly it is that you do. So there are some people out there who may be listening who may not know what a brand strategist is, may not know what that entails.
Yeah.
10 years ago, 7 years ago, I probably wouldn't have known either, So why don't you explain to people what it is that you do?
For sure. So number one, let's define a brand, because you can't talk about what strategy is behind a brand without understanding what a brand is. Your brand is who people know you are when you're not even in the room, who they talk about, what they say you do, the style of clothing that you wear, the type of food that you eat, the music that you like, the way you speak, the way you walk. Your brand, in essence, is you, and whoever you portray yourself to be is what people are going to recognize as your brand. If you take Jeff Bezos, for example, people might think that his brand is Amazon.com, but no, Amazon was built off of the brand of Jeff Bezos, right? That's why you know him as the richest man in the world or all these other things. It's the same thing with Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and any other person. I'm naming all the billionaires, but you can go all the way down to the pensionaires. I don't even know if that's a word, but you get my point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Who you are when doors are closed and nobody can see you, the cameras are off, is your
Mhm.
brand, right?
And
Go
and
ahead.
how do you come in? When you come in and I
Hmm.
say, let's say I wanna be a brand.
Hmm.
Let's say, I'm Andrew. I do some things. I want to be a brand. How do you help me do that?
Yeah, first I try to discover as much about you as I can, right? We ask questions, we dig deep. The same way you're doing with this interview, we talk about your childhood. Like I find out the most information about you that I can.
So let's just say, Rod, I'm a brand. I'm Andrew. I want to be a brand. I'm not a brand yet, but I'd like to become one. And I come to you. What do you do for me?
Okay, firstly, you are a brand. You don't have to be a
Oh,
brand,
well,
right?
thank you. Thank you
You're
very much.
well, yeah, you are. But I'm saying in general, you are your brand whether you know it or not. You are your brand when you go to the coffee machine at your 9 to 5 and your coworker says, "Hey man, how was your weekend?" And you blow him off because you don't feel like talking, right? That is a part of your brand. He's going to look at that as who you are, right? So your brand is not who you know yourself to be. Your brand is who you are perceived as, right? So it's also who you are behind closed doors, the thing that you hide away from, the thing that you're ashamed of, the thing that you don't want people to know about yourself. So I always say you need to work to completely align who you are when you're home with your family as well as who you are in the room with the executives, right? It should be one cohesive person. Does that mean you need to, show them all of your bad, dirty laundry? Absolutely not. That means clean up the dirty laundry. That way you have nothing that don't need to hide or don't want to hide. But to answer your question, I would do a discovery call or, meeting, find out as much about you as I can possibly find out, decide where you want to go, and then help you align the things and the tools and the systems necessary to get you there. And a part of that is your mindset because a lot of people don't believe in themselves enough to even begin the process. So they need a strategist that can come in, have conversations with them, coach them in the direction they should be in. And then there's the implementation side. Once we find out who you are and who you want to be and start that track, that's when you get the logos and the color palettes and the websites and everything else. People like to jump to that part without figuring out the first part. And it's
Yeah, I
like
like to do that first. I want to do that first.
you're putting the cart before the horse,
Yeah, I want to do that first.
and
Yeah.
then you're wondering why things are not going.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, no. Let's line this thing up and then you can go.
I see. Okay. Now, here's what's interesting is that I think sometimes people, and I've run into this a lot actually, where people want to be known for something. They want to be a brand. They want to have a business, but maybe they don't know what it is that they want to do. There's a lot of people out there, and I think social media has kind of made it possible, who want to be known,
Hmm.
but they don't do anything. Like
Hmm.
they don't have a particular skill set. They don't make really great baskets, or they don't design pants, or they can't sing, or they don't do math really well. They're just like, I'm here and there's something I should be doing. Do you run across these people as potential clients, and what do you say to them? What do you say if I said, "Yo, I want to be known," and you say, "What do you do?" and I say, nothing.
Yeah. So I hear that so much is actually it's quite sad because it's depressing feeling like you're just here to work and pay bills and you don't really have a talent.
Mm.
But so that's a part of that discovery. We figured out what's that dream that you let go of that you felt like, well, I'm mediocre. I'll never compete with these people. Or, I can sing a little bit, but I'm not gonna be on American Idol. So there's no point in me even pursuing that. Well, I try to dig into that because everybody has something unique about them. Everybody has a fingerprint that nobody on this earth has ever had or ever will have. Like
Not
the
everybody. No, I'm joking. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
no, I'm just saying there's a uniqueness about you. You just don't have confidence in that uniqueness. So you don't feel like displaying it to the world. So
Okay.
if you take that example of the person who can't sing or they can sing a little bit, maybe it's not meant for them to be Beyonce per se, but maybe it is meant for them to be a vocal instructor in their community. Maybe it's meant for them to encourage some other younger person who is afraid to sing, but they don't have fear of singing. They just don't feel like they can be Beyonce.
Mm,
So it's about finding your lane and sticking to
mm,
it, right?
yeah.
And then once you have the confidence and you have the lane, it's inevitable that success is going to happen. And obviously, success looks different for everybody, but If you can find that and tap into that uniqueness, which is, we call it a UVP, it's a unique value proposition. It's the thing that separates you from competition, and nobody can compete with you in that particular sphere.
I love a good acronym. I love a good acronym. UVP. That's great. Now you mentioned success, and so you must have been looking at my notes, man. But I consider you successful.
Thank you.
What do you consider success? Do you think, you mentioned that you didn't start this that long ago. Um, do you say, "Hey, I need to hit a certain number, per year. I need to help this many people." Are you successful in your own mind? And
Mm.
if not, what would be that point?
That's a great question. This, I see this floating around so often. There's so many different definitions. So I want to preface this by saying this is my definition of success. I believe that success can only be defined by the individual. There's a quote that I'm going to chop up, and I don't even know who to, give the credit to, but the quote is, the man who believes he can and the man who believes he can't are both correct. Right? I don't know if it's Confucius
Mhm.
or somebody else, but that in itself lines up with success. The man who believes he's successful and the man who believes he's not successful are both correct, right? Success is not a metric you can measure in dollar signs or accomplishments or accolades or awards. There are people who I've heard of playing basketball in New York and California and some of these other places that never made it to the NBA that people say are better than all of the NBA players, right? And we can go on and on and on with actors who didn't make it, etc. Yeah, so the bottom line is you have to believe that you're successful regardless of the metrics and the measurables. It begins with your mentality, and if you're confident in the fact that you are helping somebody else, that you are in the right lane, that you're doing what you're put on this earth to do, you'll eventually start to see the fruit of that confidence. And to me,
Mm,
that's success. When you can see the thing that you've started to do taking light and starting to spread beyond yourself and affect other people, you're successful.
I love that. I love that. I want to talk a little bit about adversity
Hmm.
because it's everywhere. Everybody deals with it, but I don't think people talk about it enough. On your way up, I'm sure you spoke to people. I'm sure you got advice from people. I
Hmm.
want to talk about the worst piece of advice you ever got. Maybe you're telling somebody a dream and they're just like, what's the worst piece of advice if you can think of one um, that you ever got on your way up?
Yeah. I
And then maybe did it lead to something great?
mm,
Sometimes you take a bad piece of advice and you're like, oh, that turned out really good.
that's good. I've gotten some great advice. I've had a lot of great mentors and bosses and things like that, friends. But if I had to think of the worst piece of advice I got, it was, and actually it did turn into something great. It was an old manager of mine. We got into a fit about something, and I was in my right. I know it to this day, and it was proven. I will spare the details, but the bottom
I
line
mean,
is
can we get a name? Can we get a name? First and last?
no.
Okay. All right.
But it was at a software company,
Okay.
and this particular manager came into a situation. He was new to the organization. I had been there 6 years.
Okay.
A situation came up with a coworker, a peer of mine, who was basically trying to take money from my pocket.
Okay.
I was working off commission. I closed the deal, and he came in at the last minute and tried to change my name for his.
Yeah.
I'm
Let me
like,
sign my name on the contract. Yeah.
bro,
Yeah.
we don't do all that. So
Yeah.
we went back and forth, man. He got his manager involved. I got my manager involved. My manager told me, hey, Rod, I know you did 2/3 of the work. So we're going to give him 1/3 of the check. I said, sir, by 2/3, do you mean all of the work?
You mean third
This is
thirds?
my deal. I worked this deal. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? Man, we went back and forth, and he told me, and this actually ended up tying into me being a brand strategist without me even knowing it. He told me, you need to be careful with this situation because this is your brand we're talking about. people are going
Mm,
to start to perceive you in the wrong light if you're
mm.
focused on getting a check. And I was like, wow, okay. I don't care. Run me my money.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah,
we
yeah,
took it up high. I got my money.
yeah,
Fast forward 10 years later, here I am out here, telling people to be themselves. That
yeah,
also goes into standing up for yourself. So that was some really bad advice at the moment because he was telling me that I should be focused on my relationship with the guy by
yeah,
splitting this money that he didn't earn
yeah.
instead of standing to my ground and like really being true to myself. So if anybody's out here listening that is curious about what that means, like building your brand and representing yourself properly at work and all of this stuff. Look, I hate to digress, but I have to do this. Listen,
Mhm,
part of the reason why I'm being an entrepreneur, and this is so important, I don't have to deal with anything I don't want to deal with. I
mm,
don't have to go clock in somewhere. I don't have to talk to anybody I don't want to talk to. I don't have to play that politic game. Okay, now I understand everybody's not in that position. I was once in that position, but there is a certain stress level, anxiety, depression, and things that happen, especially to people like us in these workspaces where we can't be ourselves. We're afraid to play certain music or pray over our food or whatever it is. I'm just telling you right now, a part of being your brand is being in a position where you're able to be who you are no matter where you are.
mm.
So, anyway.
That's yeah, that's so true. Every time I find myself back in the workplace doing a job, I always at least once a day,
Mhm.
I'm like, "Man, this is terrible." And it's not terrible because of the work. It is not
Uh-huh.
terrible because I gotta wake up and do it because when you run your own business, you probably working longer hours, you're probably
Yep.
waking up earlier, but it is just it's soul sucking to not be able to
It
be
is.
yourself.
It is.
I used to work for a company. It was a digital media company, and this is 2015. This
Mm,
is 10 years ago. Um, and this is what got me on the track to like start hosting TV shows and trying to like work for myself. But I was working for this company, and one of their big clients was Kia. The other one was Hyundai. They had a bunch of big clients,
mhm,
and we would be in the trenches coming up with these amazing digital media
mm,
ideas, these executions, these deliverables. We'd be turning out commercials and ads.
mm.
And everybody who was not an idea maker on up the chain and down the chain was making money off the idea.
Wow.
The talent that they got to drive the Kia to South by Southwest
Mm,
was making 15, 16, $20,000. You know what I mean?
mm.
The company, if the campaign went well, they was making boatloads of money. And we was sitting there making our whatever we was making. And I was like, man, every time I give y'all one of my ideas, y'all
Yeah,
make money.
yeah,
I don't make no money. I
yeah.
don't make no money. I was like, I'm not giving my ideas away anymore
Mhm.
for free. Like, you're not going to pay me $36,000 a year or whatever it was paying me 10 years ago. And me just be like, yeah, okay, that's cool.
Right. That part, right? And then
Absolutely not.
and it's intellectual property and ownership and all these documents you signed. I found out that my company had life insurance on me, bro, and I was like, "So if I die, y'all get more money?"
That's crazy.
It's yeah. So again, I'm not knocking people who want to work corporate and they're on a career path. They want to retire. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you are able to be yourself and you're not stressing out and causing anxiety and putting stuff on your family. I mean, you have
Yeah.
to look at the trade off. Is it worth it?
Yeah. Choose your heart. It's probably my favorite quote, my favorite saying. Don't know who said it originally. Choose your heart. It's all going to be hard.
Yep.
All of it is going to be hard. Just choose your heart.
Yep.
Um, let's dig into your industry a little bit for people who don't know the ins and outs of being a brand strategist and what the industry is like. What's one of the biggest lies that your industry tells itself?
Mm. That's good. One of the biggest lies that my industry tell we don't really tell ourselves that many lies. We tell
Mhm.
clients lies. We tell
Mm.
customers lies.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to deem themselves as super important or as a coach or something like that. And it's I think that that's cool that people feel that confident in themselves. But I think the part that they forget is that you have to do the work. You have to like study and show yourself, accountable. Like when it comes to branding, I mean, I'm going deep. I'm going all the way as far back as like understanding hieroglyphics and how Egyptians were branding oxen and what it
Mm,
meant, what these symbols and stuff actually meant and why they did it, and how
mm,
you can kind of, chase that all the way up. I'm going as far as like researching the type of iron that they use to do this branding and why they chose
mm,
that versus another. When I talk about branding, I'm not just up here saying what I want to say because I did some marketing. I created a couple of logos. No, it's much deeper than that. And this is the reason why some brands end up going where they go, like Apple and Starbucks and whatnot, and other brands like Blimpie or whatever come out and they fail, and you never hear about them
mm.
again. And so I
That was a
think,
good sandwich. That was a good sandwich, though.
oh yeah, it was, but their branding was terrible. It was terrible. But so we lie more to the consumer than we do to ourselves. I think that other brand strategists, which there are, they have their own lane because branding
Mm,
can be so many different things. There are people who
sure.
specialize in the color palettes and stuff like that, and they know it to a T. Not saying that I don't, but that's their forte. Whereas my forte is the person, right? Building up you, because if you don't build you, then the cart is before the horse. So that's the biggest lie we tell ourselves, is that um, it's okay for us to lie to these customers and just carry them along and not give them the real truths about what it means to create a brand.
Yeah, I love that. This is this show is called Future Proof, so we're gonna jump into what we think is coming in the
Mm,
future in the world of brand strategy. I want you to fill in these blanks for me, okay? And
mhm,
take your time.
mhm.
Everyone thinks blank is the future, but actually, blank is.
Everyone thinks AI is the future, but actually, human interaction is the future.
That's
Yeah,
hot.
yeah,
That's hot right there.
yeah. People want
That's
connection. That will never go away.
That's
And
hot right there. Can you dig a little deeper on that? Because I think that's something right there. Talk
mhm.
talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not against AI. I use AI. I'm looking to use it more and more. It is a system. It is something to streamline and make your processes more efficient, faster, all of that good stuff. However, as I'm pretty sure you already know, people have caught on to certain things being artificial. Key word there, right? And they don't want it. They don't want to be uh, flooded with emails that weren't written by a human. They don't want to see um, a chat GPT based caption for every one of your captions. Like, it's cool to do periodically, but they want to know that it's you. They want to see behind the curtain to see the eyes. They know
Yeah.
it's there. You can't
Yeah.
fool them, right?
Yeah.
And so what's happening is, that's why words float around like authenticity and transparency, and all of these things are more and more prevalent because people are not stupid, and we are meant to connect with other people. And so the person who can get in front of that piece is gonna win.
Yeah. I think I know a little bit about what you're talking about. uh, yeah, for sure. That's the whole basis of the company Future Proof. It's like, how are people organizing themselves so that they can be ready when people realize that they just want people?
Hmm.
When they realize that the only reason why art is dope is because a person with the same mind as yours
Mm,
created it. You
mm,
know what I mean? The only reason why like a song is dope is because a person with the same vocal structure as yours could reach those notes. If you make a
right,
machine do it, it's like that's not really fly. You
right.
know what I mean? If a human mind didn't write those lyrics, if a computer did it, that's not really as dope. And I'm not moved the same. So yeah, that's the whole basis of future proof in a nutshell. So that's
I
that's
love
great.
it. I love it.
Um, what's one crazy idea that you had that you're almost afraid to say out loud?
Hmm. Hmm. That's a good one. A crazy idea that I had that I'm almost afraid to say out loud.
But it could be because you think people are gonna think it's silly, or like you don't. think people are gonna respond well to it. But maybe but you really believe in it. Like you're sold on it.
Mm. No, I that's a great question. I got a couple different things. Eh, I'm a nerd at heart. I
Hmm.
like movies like The Matrix and stuff like that. I'm gonna just go there. All right.
Hmm.
I had a really lucid dream, like maybe 5 years before The Matrix came out. You ever had a lucid dream?
No, I don't think so.
So,
Wait,
so
maybe I
a
don't know what a
lucid
lucid dream is.
for anybody that doesn't know, a lucid dream is when you are in your dream state. It's like crazy dreams happen all the time, right?
Okay.
But in the dream state, you realize that you're actually asleep and you're dreaming. And so
Mm,
now you can take over the dream and like control it with your conscious mind, even though you're in your
interesting.
subconscious. It is the
Okay.
weirdest thing in the world.
Okay.
I had a dream, and you asked this question, man. You said afraid to
I,
say
I'm
it's
I'm
crazy.
he- I'm ready. I'm here.
I literally was Neo in the Matrix. This was 5 years
Oh no,
before it came out. So I'm literally black trench coat, dodging bullets, agents trying to catch me, and at the end of the dream, I start flying. I mean, it's the movie, bro.
that's crazy.
And then 5 years later, I see the Matrix, and I'm like,
Did
I'm
somebody steal my dreams?
what?
Now, do you think that means like the government can really like read our minds while we sleep
No,
and they
I don't.
store your ID?
I don't think it's that. I think that we all have an electric pulse. We all have a vibration. You know, people talk about this stuff all the time, and there's some kind of connection to the frequency and what we do, what we think, what we say, what we dream. I think all of it is connected to some degree. Now, I'm not some conspiracy theorist to sit here and say the government is tapping me. Oh, it's the Terminator, but
I
I'm just
mean,
saying. Something is connected there. I don't know how, but I dreamed
uh-huh.
that movie before it came out. So,
Listen, I've never had a lucid dream now to explain to me what it was, or if I have, I don't remember it. But I have had a lot of dreams
mm,
where I've done something thoroughly and to completion that I have no idea how to do in my real life.
mm.
Played an instrument, fixed a computer, welded some shit, like wrote a song, chorus,
Oh,
hook, like, and
wow.
did the whole thing in my dream. And I was like, yo, this is amazing. Singing the
Mhm.
song and woke up and was like, yo, I don't know how to play the fucking guitar. Like, what do you, who?
What did they
Yeah, how
call
did that happen? So I am a complete believer in like we only use 10% of our brain
it?
because the other 90 is tapped into everything. And the fact that you can go to sleep and figure out how to like build a house when like I couldn't tell you drywall from sheetrock, like I don't know, right?
Right, that part.
But I built a house in my dreams before,
Yeah.
So
So maybe I can wake up and make this happen.
exactly. But you got to do it quick. As soon as you wake up, you got to go.
Well, on that
Um,
note, real quick though, like
yeah.
most of my dreams nowadays, I'm a problem solver, and
Mm,
I will literally sit there solving problems throughout my dream most of the time, like for the last couple of years. And what I found is that what we have our mind on majority of the time is the thing that kind of like drives our dreams.
yeah.
And sometimes it could be a thought that happened a month ago or some future thing that we're worried about. But for me, it's being in the present, and my present is solving problems for customers, solving
Mm,
problems for people who are trying to find their light, trying to find their path and don't know where to go or how to start. Or maybe they have an idea, but it's just like wrinkly. And I come in and iron it out and I'm like, see, this is what you should do. And they're like, I never thought about that. So
yeah.
I'm solving problems in my dreams and in my dreams.
There you go. Come on now. Ooh. Ooh. Y'all don't steal that. That's good. Um, Talk to me about the future of brand strategy. So we talked about how AI it might not be the answer. Human connection might be the answer. But what do the next 5, 10 years of building brands look like? If you woke up today and you were like, I want to build a brand, what does that look like for you in the next 5, 10 years?
Yeah, man. If you don't know where to start, get started. You're right in line. Okay. Write down your thoughts. Get with somebody that can help you kind of drive them home. But I always say this, man. Everybody wants a new brand made, but not many people want to be made brand new. And so you have to begin to look at yourself differently. the way you think, the way you talk. Every piece of your fiber has to be open to change. And it's not change in sense of changing who you are. It's more so discovering who you are and who you've always been, that you've covered up with the clutter and the mud of chasing the dream and the dollar sign and the family and all this other stuff that you've learned and you've been programmed with all this time, right? So it's like we have to shake off, like you said, it's snowing, right? I went outside today and shoveled like 4 inches of snow off my son's car so he can drive to the store, so he can see clearly out of the windshield. Brandon is no different, right? We have to shovel the snow of life out of our way so we can see clearly before we can even begin to get on the road. Most people just want to drive. No, slow down, figure out where you're going, how to get there, put your seatbelt on, all the processes, fix the mirror, get everything straight, warm the car up. Like, don't just drive. Figure that part out and then begin to drive. Because what you're going to end up doing, those people that took off driving before you and you feel like they're getting ahead of you because they have a logo on the website and they're on the internet, trust me, if you do the path properly, 2 years from now, you'll be well ahead of them.
Yeah. the what does it say? The fast way is the slow way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like the fast way is the slow way. And it took me a long time to realize that. But consistency, stick wittedness, you know what I mean? Making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. The fast way is the slow way.
Yeah, the
So
quickest way to get anywhere is slow.
yeah, yeah, that is so true. So and if people are looking for tangible, tactful things from you, like are things changing in the world of strategizing? Is social media still the way to go? Is radio? Is SEO? Is Google search words? Are all these things still happening, or is there something new on the horizon that is like people should be looking at?
Great question. So yes, those things are still happening. I heard somebody, well, I saw on Thread somebody was like, "Oh, I'm leaving social media. That's not the only way to make money." And okay, that's great. It's not the only way to make money, but you shouldn't leave your platforms. I said be married to the idea, right? Not the way to get there. And so to me, that doesn't mean you need to get rid of Instagram or LinkedIn or any of the other things. Or like you said, SEO is still prevalent. Having a website is still meaningful. All of the same things that have been there are still there. So definitely do those things. However, get a little bit of AI into your process. Understand what people want before you try to give it to them. Email marketing is still real, even though you probably, like me, got 25,638 unread emails, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Best Buys and Targets and all these places, right?
yeah.
And so we're fighting against that. However, I believe that if you get out of allowing, like, just trying to hit that number out of your system and you actually write an email,
Mm,
it's almost like getting a handwritten letter. When's the last time somebody in your family or your friend wrote you a letter and sent it to you in the mail?
right,
If
right.
they did and you got it, you would be surprised and
Yep,
then you would read it.
yep.
It's no different with email marketing. Take your time and talk to the customer. Be a human. And when you do that in a consistent manner, they'll eventually see you as, you know what, I like this guy. I like this girl. She's
I love
honest.
that.
She's transparent. She's being herself. I can connect with her. Now I want to give her my money.
I love that. I love that. I want somebody to give me their money. No, this is great. If people want to reach out and they want to get in contact with you, they want to work with you, how do they do that?
RodBrinson.com.
Wow.
Everything you want to know about me is there. Every social media platform, contact forms, my marketing agency, like the implementation side of building website, all that stuff right there is still there. But the brand strategist is through RodBrinson.com. And I'm happy to talk with anybody. It doesn't even have to be an official contract. I just want to help people. And eventually, if you find value in what I'm providing, then maybe we can work together.
I'll make sure I put all of your contact information in the captions below. And then if you are listening to this on the radio, if you're on the treadmill, go over to wefutureproof.com and I'll have all the information up on the website as well. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about what you're doing. And this is the first step to future proof.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thanks for being the first guest. You will always be the first, man.
I'm with it. I mean, I did come up with the matrix, so I mean, you never know.
You did. You did. You did. Genius, man. All right, y'all. I appreciate you, man.
All right.
All right, peace. All right, that was amazing. Big thank you to the brother Rod for coming in here, blessing us, dropping those knowledge bombs about being authentic, about branding, about making mistakes and owning them, and how that could actually be your greatest asset. Love that conversation. We will definitely have him back in the future, and we'll have him popping into the Future Proof community, maybe on one of our masterminds, to really break down and answer some questions from you guys. Those things are really going to stick with me. So if you're feeling inspired to level up your own presence and your own impact, you can start applying now to the Future Proof Live Academy. It's 6 weeks of intensive training with me and a small group of dedicated creators. We're starting that February 6th. You can head to wefutureproof.com to learn more. Next week, we're doing another deep dive with an amazing guest. I hope you guys will be here. I can't wait to be back here, and I'll see you next week. All right, peace.